ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, layup. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
We're back, first to the floor, Ben Vallis along with Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg here with some early season trends. Shout out to everyone in the chat and folks listening later. Spooney, Jake, how we doing, guys?
Doing well. Jackson in the chat, trending Celtics of the balls.
Hell yes.
Yeah, man. We're back, dude. It's very nice to be here Monday morning. Spoke to Spooney for instant reactions, and we're 3-0, and it was never in doubt, which is nice.
Yeah, imagine struggling with a bad team in the fourth quarter. Could never be the Celtics. Maybe the Milwaukee Bucks, but not the Celtics, of course. I'm doing good, man. Doing good.
Good to
How
hear.
you been?
Good to hear. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I was just telling you guys I was shooting some hoops on the weekend. Knees are feeling good. That there's something to, if you have an injured knee and then you injured the other knee, then there's like balance restored. And now I'm banging threes for the first time in my life. So life is good, but I digress. Look, in a moment, Spooney's going to run us through his early season trends. Jake and I have a few to add. But first, we've got to get to, as I stumble for the clip here, we've got to get to this. Peyton Pritchard's wife, Emma, out walking the dog this morning, took P. Rabbit along with her. She leaves him alone for 1 second and then turns around and sees this.
What's the hand check, bro? What's the hand
check? Called out for the foul.
Hey!
This guy might be like hooping on like multiple courts across multiple universes all at the same time. He is the ultimate hooper. I don't know what I expect from you guys in terms of reactions to this, but it is amazing.
He's addicted. Someone get him some help, dude. This is taking the dog out for a walk. He's taking Pritchard out for a walk. You got to avoid all basketball
Gotta run him
courts.
around.
If you want to get home in a normal amount of time.
This, like, the pure joy that Peyton Pritchard gets just, like, fucking with a kid on a random basketball. Like, I especially when I was actually, like, decent at basketball and in shape and not 37, like, when you, like, walk into a park and you see people playing, and, like, I can't keep my eyes off it. Like, I'm gauging, like, I'd smoke that dude. Oh, that guy's actually pretty nasty. And, like, Pritchard's so good and he's famous, he can just be like, let me play with you guys right now. And it's just awesome. Like, he made that kid's life, right?
Yeah,
like,
literally.
That dude's, like, 10, 11. Like, that's just such a cool moment. And we've talked about he's like the Hooper's Hooper on the Boston Celtics. And like this is like just more evidence that that's the truth.
Dude, can you just imagine being 10 years old, just going down shooting hoops, and a Celtic plays you one-on-one, and he's like, I love that he's getting into it. He's like, hey, hand check, hey, it won. It's like, it's awesome, dude. That kid's like literally going to be just have his whole walls covered in Peyton Pritchard memorabilia now.
It improved my life, and I'm watching from afar as an aged man in Australia. So obviously got to be amazing for that kid. All right. Early season trends. I got a trend for you guys.
Ooh.
Wins, baby. Wins. The Celtics.
Yeah.
They look pretty fucking good, and wins are a pretty trendy trend in my humble opinion. But Spooney, let's get serious here. What stood out to you trends-wise so far in the first 3 games of the season?
All right, boys. Back in my Reddit writing days, I used to do
go.
charts. Lots of charts. Marcus charts. So I have 2 charts. Taking a chart.
Oh,
I
wow.
just charted myself. Anyway, okay. So it's I did not size these appropriately, so our entire faces are about to get covered with my charts. But
I want that.
okay,
every day
so
of my
like
life.
I did compared a few stats on the offensive side and then the defensive side from last year, and then obviously the first 3 games, small sample size, it's totally meaningless, but I do think like it is representative of how we've been playing so far, and I think there's some value in looking at that. So the first chart here, drives. We are down 10 fewer drives a game this season. 14 fewer passes a game this season. Corner 3 frequency down 2.5%. Midi frequency down 2%. Catch and shoot 3 frequency down 2%. So that is kind of paints an ugly picture of the way we're playing offense, right? We're not driving as much. We're not passing as much. We're not getting shots from the corner three. The midi, I actually think less middies is probably a good thing, and fewer corner threes, or catch and shoot threes rather. And I was thinking, like, what could explain most of those things? And then I looked at Jason Tatum's pull-up numbers. He took 5.6 pull-up threes a game last year. He's taking 10.3 so far this year, and he's shooting 48% on them. So he's kind of like single-handedly driving the offense right now, but he's so influential. I do think it's changing kind of the way we played so far this year from last year. But I think there's a lot of kind of interesting stuff, and the drive numbers were really surprising to me because I thought that Knicks game especially, we felt like we were driving nonstop.
I guess like my question would be, do drives count when you've hit Luke Cornett on the short roll and then he sprays it back out? Like that probably doesn't count as a drive, right? I feel like especially in that Knicks game, they were getting so many passes into the lane and then spraying back out. I do think, and we're probably going to talk about this with the defense as well, I would say they're coasting a little bit so far, kind of on both ends, getting by on shooting like 44% from three on 51 attempts per game. So like, and that's fine. That's great. But yeah, I mean, obviously 3 games in, but like we haven't necessarily needed to see them play with a ton of force on offense. And the passing number surprises me, but at the same time, like in that Knicks game and even that Wizards game, they're just getting to good looks with one pass. And so, and they're not needing to do a ton of drive and kick like they did in the Dallas series, for example. So, if they continue to get 53s up and shoot them at 44% and they're just getting them with less passes, that's fine. Yeah. And then the Tatum part of that, he's hunting them right now. Like, I'm not sure how many threes he's taking per game, but I know he had 10 attempts at halftime of the Pistons game. He's had over 10 attempts maybe in all 3 games so far. So, yeah, he's make that a focus.
Yeah, I think our guys are like trained in the recognition of good looks. And if, like you said, Jake, if they happen to be finding and recognizing those good looks after just one pass and like they are going to take the shot there, even if it doesn't look as sexy as like moving the ball around. That said, and I think we'll get to like pass frequency and volume and things like that. Like there have been some really good, notable, sexy multi-pass possessions as well. With the Tatum stuff, I think, he has been shooting really well from 3. I think we've seen in all 3 of these games so far where he does start off really hot. And then he does kind of get bogged down in like, I'm fucking awesome. I'm just going to like jack all of these shots. And maybe there is an equilibrium where he still has that discipline and recognition despite the really good shooting, where he still fights to find the best team look despite knowing full well, and rightfully so at the moment, given how well he's shooting, that he could probably just take those shots anyway. So maybe that's like the sort of mini evolution that he can find and the team can find through the next 10 games or so.
Yeah, and I think like on the passing thing too, because that was probably the biggest surprise to me. I didn't anticipate the drives. As Landon says hi.
Hello, Landon.
Morning, Landon.
In the chat, but like the drives was like, okay, like I think you're right, Jake. There's a lot of just like swinging around the perimeter because we create advantages so easily we almost don't need to drive. But it's felt like we've had a lot of those multi-pass possessions. But then, I was rewatching some of the Knicks possessions, and it's like there are no passes because Tatum gets it. They set a screen with Karl Anthony Towns defender, and he just waltzes into a wide open 3, and it's like, that is not bad offense. In fact, that's great offense. It's just like kind of the Knicks and then especially the Wizards, their defenses were so bad that you don't need to have 6-7 passes on a possession to generate a good look. So, the catch and shoot thing too, like 2%, like that's just probably statistical noise. And with Tatum taking that many pull-ups, like he's probably just trading, 2 catch and shoots he might have for a pull-up, so that can probably explain that. But yeah, one question I had, does this remind you guys a little bit of the offense we played Missoula's first year, where it was like not great, but they were just making every fucking shot and everybody was shooting 50%, so it didn't matter?
Yeah, I've seen that floating around.
Oh really?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm floating around in the First to Floor Discord, so great minds think alike there a little bit. But not it's different because we know what they can do and what it looks like. It just feels like they know what they're supposed to be doing on offense for the most part, instead outside of like a quarter and a half of the Pistons game, maybe a bit longer there. So maybe a little bit, but now we know what they can do. It doesn't feel like they can do wrong in my eyes right now. And so when you're walking into wide open pull-up threes when you're Jason Tatum, we kind of know the difference between when they're good ones and bad ones. Like in the Wizards game, he got a little out of control a little bit because I think he knew that he was coming out. And similar to like the end of one of those preseason games, it's like he was 4 for 10 and then took 3 just garbage ones. So I think that's part of it. I'm finding it hard to hold these guys to a perfect standard right now because they're winning the games. They have the title. I know what I know that they know what to do. And it's working right now.
Celtics banner in the chat. This is a very nitpicky thing to worry about. This is what we do. We fret about everything on this show. That's why you're here watching, I hope, because we're so anxious about the Celtics in general that of course we're going to talk about all this stuff. So I hope you're enjoying it as much as we do. On the Tatum stuff on the offense and the like old school Mazzulla ball side of things, I feel like if the opposing team is going to switch their big onto Jason Tatum, that's when it's like the strategy goes out the window for the Celtics and it's like, okay, now Tatum's just going to cook. And I was going to get to this later, but Tatum guarded by Towns against the Knicks, 12 points on 5 of 6 shooting, including 2 of 2 from 3, and also generated 20 team points on top of that. Guarded by Jericho Sims, 12 points in just 39 seconds of game time, 4 of 6 from the floor. Guarded by Alex Sarr, 9 points, all 3, 60% shooting. Jalen Duren did a little bit better, just 6 points on 67% shooting, also 0 turnovers for all of the above. And then looking at the wing matchup numbers as well, like they're not faring much better than the bigs. But if Tatum's going to get a big switched onto him, it's just everything goes out the window, clear out, let Tatum cook. And that's been working so far. And is that sustainable? Probably not. They'll probably settle back into the Mazzulla ball we came to know and love last year. But it's definitely fun as fuck to watch, if nothing else.
It's so much fun when Tatum's got it cooking like that. And Celtics banner 19, I did not think you were being disrespectful at all. It's definitely nitpicky. Oh, no, of course. And none of us are like legitimately worried. I think we're just kind of like, this is what's happening right now. And like having the ring really is just like, I think to your point, Jake, it just legitimizes like, they're kind of fucking around a little bit and who gives a shit because they're going to beat the shit out of the Wizards anyway. Right. But
yeah, if the Knicks game had gone differently, then maybe we would feel differently right now. But you play against what's supposed to be like the second best team in the East. And I thought they were very focused for the offensively in that game. And when they're hunting seals, playing the killer whale offense, that was they kind of did it in the Wizards game as well and throughout the Pistons game. But like they were focused on opening night. So we saw it and it's like, okay, they're probably going to need to lose a game. We'll talk about with the defense for them to really start to lock in, but we'll see.
Yeah, and let me bring up the defense chart, but like the Knicks, remember the Microsoft Zune? Remember that? It was like the iPod killer and it was a piece of shit.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Player.
I feel like the Knicks are the Microsoft Zune Celtics. Like, I don't know. Like, they're just trying to be us, but they're a shitty imitation. Anyway, that came to me earlier today when I was at this, this children's Halloween party and had nothing else to do.
That's beautiful.
Okay, defense, gentlemen. So this is the only thing that I think is truly something I'm going to keep an eye on. Less than 5 feet. So this is our opponents taking shots less than 5 feet. We let up 28 of those a game last year, and teams shot 60.5%. This year it's 29, so about 1.5 more. They're shooting 72.7% at the rim, which is a bananas number. And then wide open field goal attempts, they're down, so we're conceding about 5 fewer wide open threes a game. That rim number probably has something to do with that. We're conceding fewer corner threes, about 1.5% fewer of their total shot diet. And we are last in transition points per possession this year. We are the worst transition defense in the NBA. We were 93rd percentile last year, which is top 3. So and obviously you get a lot of rim shots in transition. So I think we've seen it, not stopping ball soon enough, letting guys kind of get easy dribble penetration. And to me, it kind of just goes back to like, they're in third gear, they're in second gear. But without KP, who was easily our best rim protector last year, I do think the rim accuracy is something to monitor.
Yeah, absolutely. And Blammo in the chat here, do you have those numbers in non-KP games from like last year? I was thinking that in like the Knicks game early, they had a couple of shots at the rim. It felt like Al kind of had them corralled for some tough shots. But regular season Al versus playoffs Al, when it comes to rim protection, are kind of two different players, and that's fine. The transition defense, that's like you can just look at that, and that almost tells the entire story because they were one of the best transition defenses. That's never been a problem in the entire J era, like at all. So I would not be surprised, like if that just cleans itself up very, very shortly. I will say though, more broadly, they were the third best defense in the league last year. Would it surprise you if they were closer to 10 than they are to 1 in defense this year as far as overall ranks go? Because I feel like that might be the thing that just comes back a little bit if you don't have Porzingis and they try and scale Al back a little bit. And maybe we talk about the double big stuff. Like the defense overall probably could take a little bit of a step back, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not going to play Jordan Walsh, one of the best defenders,
come on,
best theoretical defenders of all time, it's problematic. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me if it slides a little bit, particularly in this first half of the season with Cape. Like, it's like my number one note on like opponent points in the paint issues for the Celtics is just like bullet point. Kristaps Porzingis would help, and he would immensely. Just a 7'4" Latvian assassin swatting things away at the rim. Definitely helps. The transition D, it even gets worse off live rebounds. Like teams grab a board and get out in transition. We're actually 20th in the league there, 116.7 points per 100. Also, probably a side effect of shooting so much from long range. In terms of our shot diet, 50% of our threes this year are coming from beyond the arc, and then it's 30% at the paint, and the rest of is a smattering of various mid-range shots, which is for the modern age like a really good shot diet, but it does cause some unpredictable, like you remember Dennis Rodman in The Last Dance where he's like talking about his approach to rebounds. It's that shit. And so like unpredictable stuff, guys catching the ball sort of on the semi break in transition there and getting out. So maybe that's a somewhat of a side effect of us being so 3-point happy, is like just inadvertently getting teams out in transition. I don't know, but it needs to be cleaned up. And you talk about the defense sliding down to 10th potentially. Al Horford is our primary rim defender, and Al Horford is on the Al Horford plan, which is essentially take it easy until the playoffs because we're going to need you, big dog, the OG. And if that means just sort of backpedaling with your arms up in the air, waving them around semi-effortlessly, then I'm okay with that. And meanwhile, we're winning these games, so whatever. But it is a concerning trend, absolutely.
Another part of rim protection is keeping your man in front of you on the perimeter. And I would say Drew is probably the guy out of everybody, even and Jalen a little bit too, that have been getting beaten off the dribble in ways that I haven't expected or am not used to. And this kind of happened with Drew last year in the regular season as well. Yeah. Like I was like, he's pretty good. Like he's an excellent defender, totally. And he would crank it up at points, and then he went to a completely different level in the playoffs. And I think that's part of the beginning of the season as well. And it's like you kind of can't have two of these things. It's like we want to scale Drew back. We want him fresh for the playoffs. We want Al fresh for the playoffs. But also when like Cade Cunningham beats Drew Holiday off the dribble, I don't like it.
Fuck.
I don't like it. Yeah, pisses me off.
What?
I know. Yeah, and like they got really good at like playing super hard for like 10 minutes and winning games at the end of last season. And I think they're like even dialing that back to like, let's see how well we're
5.
shooting, and then we'll
Great
and then
points,
we'll play
Vinny.
hard for 5. And that's what happened in that Pistons game. They're like, shit, we're down 6 with 5 minutes left. Okay, let's try on defense. And then they just completely shut the Pistons water off. Like Drew was everywhere, Jalen was everywhere, Al came back in, so we could switch everything again. And so again, it's just one of those like, if I'm choosing between we have the 8th best defense in the NBA and Drew and Al get appropriate rest, or we have the 2nd best defense and those guys are playing 32, 33 minutes. You know me, I'm taking the rest, baby. With the 8th best defense, we're going to win, 58, 59 games anyway. So yeah, it's totally fine. And they can crank it up. We know they can crank it up. So it's not that big of a deal, but it's frustrating as shit to watch people march to the rim on this team.
Correct. Yeah. Well, yeah, when you know how good they are, and when you see the last 4 minutes of the Pistons game, it's like, why don't you just do this at the beginning? Well, we've been talking about it. It's like, well, because we can't just turn it on for the last couple of minutes here. And do they need to turn it on at all? I mean, are there any good teams out there that
Bucks,
right now?
Apparently.
The Bucks are down 19 to the Nets. 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We were very close to the Sixers losing to the Pacers without Joel Embiid and Paul George. But that says the Pacers have been garbage to start the season as well. So. They might just cruise their way to a 6-game lead in the East while having the 11th or 12th best defense. Right now they're 13th, which is bad for the Celtics, but it's not really, a massive issue.
For sure. Look, we're going to come back with some more trends. I'm sure Spoonie's got some more for us, but first, here's a quick word from our sponsor. We've got to pay the bills here. Here's a quick word from Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy, so your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. If your player leaves in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks keeps your lineup live. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? I don't know. No, seriously, I don't. Please tell me. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. I use Prize Picks before most Celtics games to add a bit of spice to my viewing experience. You just choose less or more on a player stat, and this is where you can take advantage of your divorce level Celtics knowledge. For example, right now I'm picking more on Tatum to average 26.9 points per game this season, and if I could, I'd take more on Al Horford, flooring us all with his eyes every game. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Yeah, sign up to Prize Picks, use that code CLNS. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, use it to enhance your viewing experience. Can't recommend it enough. Spoonie, I throw back to you. What else stands out to you trend-wise this season so far?
I have one more. The Celtics are plus 34.1 per 100 possessions with Al Horford on the court and minus 6.9 with him off. We are 41 points per 100 better with him on than off. And we did a lot of Luke Cornett's good now, Tillman's solid. Any concerns about the production of the backup centers right now? And I wonder if a lot of that's probably due to just the Pistons game where Cornette and Tillman were kind of disasters. But we're really expecting these dudes to kind of hold the fort while KP's out. And so far, Tillman's had his moments, Luke's had his moments, but the numbers are damning really right now.
Oh, never leave us, Al. How we can't keep doing this, dude.
It's gonna happen.
He can't keep saving us. I'm like, when's our first back to back? Because I'm not looking forward to not having Al Horford or Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, man, I've been a little disappointed with Tillman. I would say he's been a guy that's been getting beaten off the dribble. I wonder if he's working his way back after the knee scope and just getting acclimated with the team still. Cornette struggled yesterday, so we've been lauding his ability on the short roll to make really good decisions. I'm not sure if the Pistons scouted it in particular, but he didn't look at the rim at all, and they kind of sat on the pass a lot in that game, and it led to some clunky offense. He has to look at the rim. He has to you can't have 0 points if you're gonna play. It's not about 0 points. You can play well. Drew and Derek had 0 points in, I forget which first half, probably the Wizards game, I think. It doesn't really matter on this team because they've been so good at sharing the ball. But Luke Cornette, when playing with Jason Tatum and stuff like that on the short roll, he has to look at the rim. So I would say that for Luke, I would like to see more of. And this double big lineup stuff, I don't think he's doing anyone favors. Like, so Hauser's been out, but like that shouldn't be like a huge deal. Like, it's obviously a big deal, and Hauser, I mean, like, is a massive, massively additive for this team, but I don't think they need to be going to the double bigs. We were talking about it in the Discord. It's like, yeah, we want to experiment with it. I'm like, I'm confident we don't need to really experiment with a Cornet Tillman double big lineup. I'm very confident that's not going to be a lineup that works in the playoffs. Like, Cornet struggled to kind of survive past game 2 of the second round. Like, against good opponents with electric guards and good offenses, he's probably not going to be able to play when teams are game planning and targeting him. So I don't think we need to see Cornet, Tillman at the same time.
Yeah, well, Sam Hauser's questionable for tomorrow against the Bucks, so maybe that solves the issue. We just go back to our standard rotation. I was kind of hoping Walsh would get a crack here. I know Jake Eisenberg, Jordan Walsh enjoyer here on YouTube, obviously hoping for that as well. It's kind of it goes against what our expectations were coming out of preseason, in that Walsh looks so good. Like, he's probably going to play the O'Shea minutes. O'Shea got a crack whenever we had to alter our rotation, and we're just not seeing that for Jordan Walsh, and instead the clunkiness of double bigs when like neither of them can really shoot reliably or consistently. I hate to say that about Xavier Tillman because I'm high on his shooting future. It's not the case right now, unfortunately, which makes Jake very pleased.
Does not make me pleased. You guys made me pleased. Everybody made me pleased. I'm sitting there at home like, am I crazy?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's obviously very vindicating for you, Jake. But with the bigs, like, you just need to be able to hold the ship, hold steady while Al gets a much needed rest at his advanced age, and they're just not really doing that right now. You talked about it with the Luke Cornett short roll stuff. Like, I think that is probably the most simple area of improvement in terms of our backup bigs, and one that we could address because we've seen him cook is not the right word, but like be effective in those situations in the past. So if we can just get back to that, that might sort of solve those short-term issues while we wait for Hauser to get back and ultimately for KP to get back as well. But Spoonie, definitely a concerning trend.
Yeah, and really quick, there's one 2-man lineup that Luke Cornett is in that is a minus net rating. It's Luke Cornett and Tillman, and it's a minus 28.3 points per 100 possessions. So, like, it's not just bad. It is, like, destructively, horribly awful. So yeah, I think like 21 minutes, like that is a small sample size, but it just doesn't theoretically make sense either. You know, there's just like, what are you going to find out? Like, Tillman can take 5 threes a game, because that's what it's going to take to like grease the offensive wheels with those two. So I feel like that experiment just needs to be over, and they're getting absolutely roasted on defense. 145 points per 100 defensively, which would be like 25 points worse than the worst defense in the NBA last year. So it's like, just play Walshy and see what the hell happens at this point, Joe.
Well, okay. Obviously, this is the Jordan Walsh show. The Jordan Walsh enjoyer on the screen right here.
We're actually rebranding after this.
I don't care if it's Walsh. I don't want it to be Springer, but like, try someone, or something that I don't understand either. Pritchard played 19 minutes in the Pistons game. Just scale him up. Just play him as like the Hauser Walsh person, because he's fine. Like, that's, as you said, the defense is struggling because they're getting destroyed off the dribble. At least Pritchard keeps guys in front of him, and they can just dig down and help, and then rotate back out. And then offensively, and this stuff's all connected. Like, because when he's out there, obviously your offense is going to be better than when you're playing a double big lineup of Cornett. And he's fucking on fire to start the season too. Like, back-to-back games of 5+ threes, 5 for 7 from 3 in the Pistons game. And he like didn't really get a crack in the second half, which I didn't quite understand. Drew Peterson, we've become a fan of as well. Littlefoot, I think that you trying one of these guys, especially in the Wizards or Pistons games, yeah, Joe Clear doesn't trust them, or he's like trying to find something with the double bigs. Like, the Pistons and Wizards don't really have size, so you're trying to beat them on the boards. I just don't feel like that ever works out that way. Like, you never end up winning the rebounding battle, or we don't end up winning the rebounding battle enough for it to outweigh the pace and space of like a Pritchard lineup.
the luxury of being able to do like some pretty significant experimentation with our big rotation while also just going like a near flawless 3-0 is pretty spicy and typical of like teams that are probably well aligned to like go and attempt to repeat championship wise again. So Spoonie, awesome trends. I don't think I'll lose sleep over these, but it's definitely worthwhile tracking these because obviously we demand perfection from the fellas and they're not quite there yet. Anything else trends wise from you, Spoonie or Jake? Have you got anyone to add on to that?
Nothing, massive. We've kind of hit on most of it here, but individual player hot starts here. Obviously, we've talked about Tatum. He's on 33, 6 and 6, 2 stocks, 1 turnover on 69% true shooting. Nice. So, like, that would be nice if he can continue to do that. 33 points on, like, 50, 45 in 66% from the free throw line has been weird. So come on, Tatum, you could be at 35 points a game right now. One that like could be something that holds a little bit more. I'm not sure Tatum's going to be able to maintain that, obviously. But Derek White is currently averaging 20 points a game on 54, 44, 90. And last year he was 15 points per game on 46, 40, 90. So like him having an elite efficiency, shot profile is not out of the realm of possibilities. And because KP's out, can he get 2, 3, 4, 5 more field goals per game to push him? Because if we can get a Derek White 20 points per game, plus like the 4 boards, 4 assists, plus the highlight blocks and the defense, that might be like we start to get a little all-starry because nothing like that would be the crowning achievement, I think, if we can get that thing done. Because if they win enough games back-to-back years, there was still like the naysayers last year. They weren't willing to give the Celtics 3 All-Stars. And also, D. White and KP kind of cannibalized each other from voting perspective. So, little, getting ahead of ourselves, obviously. But the case was there last year. If you can maintain efficiency while upping the volume just a little bit, could be onto something.
Yeah,
Jake, are there enough tissues in the world for the tears of joy you would cry if Derek
I was
going to
say,
all-star team?
Jake splurging for the 4-season suite when Derek's an all-star. Yeah,
Yes.
come on, buddy.
Right.
We're going to the top.
I'm flying out for that one, that's for sure.
Dude, Tatum 33, 6 and 6. He, how in the football they have like the turnover differential. It's like how many interceptions and fumbles you have versus how many your defense get. 2 stocks. He has a 2-to-1 turnover differential.
Yeah.
He's turning
crazy.
the other team over twice and only doing it once himself. That's absolutely insane. So, I mean, if he keeps that up, he's going to be in the top 3 of the MVP voting. Like, I'm the pull-up shooting's not going to totally hold, but he's obviously not driving like nearly as much as we know he can. So that's very spicy. I didn't realize Derek was at 20, but he's been balling, man. He's been hooping so good.
Yeah, and that efficiency, I didn't realize it was so crisp either. This isn't a statistical trend, but just with Tatum, like the eye test, I was saying this in our Discord yesterday, like he just looks, I know he's not weight-wise and dimensions-wise bigger or stronger than last year, but he does look, that does look to be the case. He just looks way more dominant out there. And
I don't want to say the word. Is it aura?
MVP word? Aura?
Is it aura?
Okay, yeah, aura.
Is it the aura?
Yeah, I think it goes beyond that though. He just, maybe it sort of emerges from his aura, which was just a legitimate word with an actual normal definition before it got made into something by Alpha Gen or whatever they're called. But he does just look spicier than last year. He looks like a different species out there on the floor compared to the mere mortals that he's playing against. He just looks like he can get wherever he wants and do whatever he wants at all times. And I don't remember feeling this confident in Tatum as far as like give him the ball and get the fuck out of the way ever in my life as I do in this moment.
It's always been our best option for the most part, but right now it's like, just find him. Because, I think we've talked about like the way he dribbles the ball sometimes. You're like, he's like pounding the ball extra hard against the court. You can kind of tell he's locked in a little bit. And the way he's handling the ball, it seems tighter. I don't know if that's like he's been working on it or it's just better or it's a confidence thing. Plus the shots are going in, so it looks all together. You put those things and it's like, this is making my eyes very, very happy. But yeah, man, he on the perimeter, the way he's dancing with dudes, like it's reminiscent of the 2019 pre-bubble shutdown right now, the way he's knocking in these pull-up threes.
Yeah, man. Oh, so good. Yeah. I love it. Anything else, guys, trends-wise, before we wrap up and move on to some other spicy stuff?
That's everything.
Yeah, no, I was gonna add some team related stuff. We're kind of running out of time, but like turnovers per cleaning the glass, we're second in the league in turnovers, just 8% turnover percentage. Offensive rebounding, 8th in the league again per cleaning the glass. We're 8th in defensive free throw rates, like continued to be disciplined defensively and not commit too many fouls. Which is great. But that's about it. When we come back, we're going to get into the Bucks preview. We're going to talk about the Dwayne Wade statue and some other awesome Schadenfreude stuff. But first, here's a word from Game Time.
The wait is over. Celtics basketball is back, and Game Time is the best way to get your tickets to see the best team in the NBA. Game Time has tickets for all events, concerts and shows, not just sports. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite team even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. We used Game Time to get our tickets to Summer League, and it couldn't have been easier. You could go see the Bucks in TD Garden for as little as $77, or maybe you want to drive to Charlotte to watch Tatum drop 50 on the Hornets as per usual. That will only cost you $26 to get in the building. Game Time has a lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create your account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time!
Game time, woo. The Bucks, guys, which I would have called this like our first real challenge of the season, looking at the schedule prior to the beginning of the season. They've just lost to the Nets like literally moments ago. So are they going to be getting up for us tomorrow night? And meanwhile, the Pistons just handed us our first big challenge of the season. So I don't know what to think. How are you guys feeling going into this matchup?
Confident, man. We've been playing the Bucks well for years now, but like there will be juice to this game, no question. Back in TD Garden, national TV game, I think. I said on the instant reactions, like, hopefully the Celtics were able to learn a little lesson in the Pistons game without actually having to learn the lesson. Like, you can't fuck around in the NBA. No matter which team it is, you can lose, but then you still win. It's kind of perfect. You got some crunch time reps in as well. Like, kind of the perfect script. So I think they should be ready to go. All those things taken into consideration. I don't think the Bucks would have been more or less up for the game tomorrow if they would have lost this Nets game. Maybe you add an extra 20% or 15% upness because they lost against the Nets, but like they should be up for every game, dude. They need to win games. They lost to Chicago as favorites. They had a very disappointing season last year. Dame's supposed to be in the best shape of his life. He was 5 for 13, 1 for 7 from 3 today. Like, not off to a good start for not off to a good start for him either. So, like, but at the same time, if you lose this game tomorrow, you're gonna feel like you've given them momentum, and they're gonna go away feeling really good about themselves. And narratively, it's gonna shift a little bit.
There's no winning because they're on a back-to-back. So
Correct.
If we win, their fans are going to be like, well, we were on a back-to-back. And if we lose, it's going to be like, oh, we're so much better than the Celtics, blah, blah, blah. I haven't had a chance to watch the Bucks yet this year. Giannis has, in 2 of the 3 games, he's taken 11 shots. Like, that is not enough. I mean, he's still averaging like 30, 12, and 6 because he's ridiculous. And obviously his free throw numbers are crazy. But, I mean, is it Dame? Like, what is like kind of going on there? So
no Middleton still, so he's out.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he didn't play today. If he's back for the Celtics game, doesn't feel like a very smart time to drop him in. But yeah,
no, a lot of pressure.
Yeah, because we're gonna cook him like we always do, have the last few years. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't think he'll be back, but. They're just a weird team, man. Like, something is not right with them, and I can't like totally put my finger on it. And I think it's probably just like Dame is not that good anymore, and he has a massive part of their offense and is on ball like the whole time when he's on the court. And like everyone was like, "Oh, the Giannis pick and roll." It's like maybe it's just better to give it to Giannis with a mismatch and like see what happens, you know, and just like fuck off, Dame. Like, you're a spot up guy now.
What happened to David Goggins? What happened to them coming in the best shape of your life? It's becoming more and more clear that this was just Doc covering up for Damian Lillard, and he's just sort of dropping off as a, obviously don't wish that on anybody, but I wish that for Dame tomorrow while we play the Bucks is where I'm at. As far as seal hunting is concerned, obviously Damian Lillard is someone you want to go at. I'd expect plenty of like variations of putting Lillard in different actions. Is Brook Lopez now a seal? Is he that old?
He's been a seal for years.
But he's been like a decent rim protector, and he's been, I feel like, one of the better drop bigs in general. But, Tatum's been going at bigs, we talked about it earlier, who are playing drop coverage against him. So I would expect a healthy diet of, another 12 Tatum three-point attempts, hopefully sailing over the head of Brook Lopez. Is he a legitimate vulnerability in the Bucks defense that you expect the Celtics to exploit tomorrow night? Yeah.
I mean, he's a good defender outside of the context of playing the Celtics. It's just
right.
You can't play dudes in drop coverage that can't come up to the level and defend in space and expect to have consistent success. Like going back to like 15, 20 games now against the Bucks, the Celtics just have a ridiculous 3-point attempts and percentage. I think it's just they're comfortable, they're confident against this defense, and they were before Drew Holiday left. And now Brook Lopez is multiple years older. Chris Middleton's not even there. Gary Trent is like is an improvement on Malik Beasley. That's no doubt. But like we saw what Tatum did to Mikal Bridges. You talked about Tatum being this looking different and just like being this apex predator dude. He's going to be standing next to Gary Trent, and it's going to look unfair most likely. And Damian Lillard, he's one of the worst defenders in the NBA of guys that are playing like starter minutes, and that's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like the Jays especially have done really well, like against Giannis when he's defending in the pick and roll too recently. I think they've kind of figured him out defensively. And the key is just like get Giannis out of the paint. And I trust that we can stretch out Brook Lopez or multiple drives and kicks. So he's going to be out of position and foul if he is even at the rim. It's really just Giannis on their defense that scares me. Otherwise, man, like they are the Guppy farm. Like Taurean Prince is like, are we worried about Taurean Prince defensively? Absolutely not. He will get orca whaled. Bobby Portis can't move his feet either. So, I mean, this team has like legitimate defensive issues, and they did last year. And I mean, they've really done nothing to change it other than Gary Trent, who, like you said, is an improvement, but Gary Trent ain't Drew Holiday. He ain't like propping up your perimeter defense with, one-man wrecking crew. He's like, oh, Gary's a good fifth best defender. Like if he's your worst wing defender, you're in good shape. He's their best and only, so they're in trouble.
What about Spoonie? Is there something you expect the Bucks to do at the Celtics or try and exploit from the Celtics side of things for them offensively?
Yeah, I think they might like post up Giannis with Al. They're going to try and just exploit Al Horford. Like at this point, he's 38. Like they're just going to go at him. Like he doesn't want to get banged against for an entire game by Giannis Antetokounmpo. No, I know that's poor phrasing, but you know what I mean? So like in a lot of it comes down to like, is Dame making his threes? Because if he's not, there's not a whole lot they can do. They've been generating a ton of spot up opportunities, and like every Giannis team does that because you have to send help. And like Taurean Prince could shoot, Gary Trent could shoot. So I anticipate, a lot of Giannis in the short roll, a lot of Giannis ISO, a lot of Giannis post ups. But I mean, like, it's just a weird fit with Dame because he's not like moving off ball to get to spots for catch and shoot threes. So, yeah, I mean, like, I don't think this team is markedly different, like play style was than they were last year, especially kind of the end of last year after Doc came on board.
I wonder if we're going to see Jalen on Giannis because he's, gotten so much bigger over the last couple of years. And I wonder if he wants the challenge because I feel like a couple of years ago, like in that 2022 series, he was not at this level of dimensions. The biceps were not touching his like ears. But now I feel like that this could be a way to kind of get him going a little bit. It's like match up with Giannis because something we didn't talk about with the trends is like Jalen's shooting 37% from the field to start the year so far. Thought he was really good late, and as was the whole team late in the game yesterday. But Jalen always toasts the Bucks as well. Like Grayson Allen snatching his ankles comes to mind. Game 2 of that series. But yeah, I wonder if we see Jalen on Giannis. But I just want to play solid because make suck in. go out to shooters, just play solid, rebound. If you're the Bucks, you want to try and take advantage of this terrible Celtics transition defense.
Yeah, I was just looking at that on cleaning the glass. And
That's
their
the idea.
transition offensive stats don't jump out too much. 11th overall, and then like we talked about, what's really been burning us is off of live rebounds, and it's 3 games. But transition offense off live rebounds for the Bucks, they're ranked 24th league wide. So it's not like they've been cooking other teams through those means. So I don't know. We've been shit, as we said. So maybe they turn that around against us, but it doesn't seem like a glaring disparity between the two teams that they could take advantage of. I want to see Jason Tatum just like going at Giannis, like continuing his MVP. Because like if you want to get MVP votes, part of that is just like putting yourself, in favor with the media, and ending up on SportsCenter cooking one of the best players in the league of the last 5 years is an awesome way of doing that. And I think a lot of people, I don't want to say casuals, but maybe people who don't watch the Bucks that much, and I've been one of those people, is like they think that Giannis is like an elite wing defender, and he's just not. And there's years now of evidence of Tatum cooking him off the dribble. See Game 6, 2022 against the Bucks. But I'd like to see some more of that. I'd like to see us win, obviously, and us do so with like team synergy, but also Tatum just like having moments where he just like clearly emerges as the number 1 MVP candidate throughout the game.
Yeah, and like Giannis is not an elite wing defender. He is an elite help defender, and it kind of makes sense to put him in the primary action, put him in the pick and roll, because then he's not around to help because he's guarding Jason Tatum on the wing, and that's what we want. He's weaker at that, and he can't like completely dislodge your entire offense as a help defender. So, we're going to get him. I mean, Tatum's going to get him up when Giannis switches on to him. There's no doubt in my mind with the way he's playing. Like, he is like trying to make a statement here, even if he won't like outright come and say it. And like, there's no bigger like dude to do that against in the East than Giannis.
Yeah, look, we're going to see Rondo on the opposing sideline. Good call.
Good call.
Kariko in the chat here. Look, we have the title. Priority number 1 is getting the second title, but the very clear next priority is the Tatum agenda and the Tatum MVP. Like, as long as we get the 1 seed and win the title, I really like Tatum MVP, or like right in that top 3 range. Like lock up the 4th straight first team All NBA. I need it after all the bullshit and slander that he somehow copped up to winning a title and winning first team All NBA. And he's off to a good start. And I'm sure he wants it just as much as we do.
Dude, Tatum MVP and the chip would feed my family for the rest. It would replenish famished nations with resources. Let's wrap up here with some spicy Schadenfreude. We're not going to run the Schadenfreude intro. We're streaming live on CLNS, as well as the First to the Floor YouTube channel, to which you should like and subscribe if you've not already. We'd really appreciate it. Put us in good stead with the algorithm gods. But Schadenfreude-wise, we're going to get to the Wade statue in a second. But Jake, I believe there's been some bombs dropped on the city of New York in the last 24 hours.
Damn. Yeah. Bad time to be a New York sports fan, and, great time to be a Boston sports fan. Obviously, the Knicks get smoked by the Celtics on opening night, and then today, the Patriots have been like just an abomination of a football team for the most part all season long, and the Jets have like the highest expectations that they've had in like history. And both teams are now 2-6 after they just lost to Jacoby Brissett. And to top that off, they're also down 0-2 in the World Series. The Yankees are to the Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
Obviously, Dodgers, we don't love to see that as a Boston sports podcast, but it's always fuck the Yankees no matter what. And I can hear Yankees fans being like, well, where are the Red Sox? They didn't even make the whatever. I'm like, trust me. We all know it's much worse to make the Super Bowl or the NBA Finals and lose, especially when you haven't been to the mountaintop in so long, and you know that like your franchise, its history is kind of like fraying at the seams. It's been that long since you've done anything of relevancy across all of these sports now. So I just thought it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, and on the Dodgers, real quick, we beat them in a World Series, so that takes plenty of the sting off of seeing them win. And they have Mookie. Mookie leaving is like what kind of killed my Red Sox fandom when they let him walk. So I will always cheer for Mookie Betts. He's the absolute man. Incredible bowler too. Important fact. But yeah,
can dunk.
Can dunk. Yeah, and he's like 5'10". Mookie's the man. I hope they sweep them. But yeah, fuck the Yankees and fuck Aaron Rodgers, who I've always disliked.
Hell yes.
All right, well, fuck someone else entirely, and that is the entire organization of the Miami Heat. And
Yes.
they erected
fucking
a
transition.
statue to pay tribute to one of the better players throughout their franchise. Here it is now. Sorry, that's the wrong button. Here it is now. The Dwayne Wade statue.
What is this, dude?
I mean, just the obvious call out. That does not look like Dwayne Wade, obviously. What else comes to mind when you guys look at this monstrosity?
Why does he look so old? He looks kind of like Haslam. Did they get the wrong guy? They're like, oh, that guy's been a Heat for a long time.
They wanted to be able to, when Dwayne Wade's like actually in real retirement age, be able to put him side by side and be like, see, this was predictive. We knew what he was going to look like in 40 years when Dwayne Wade was actually like 70 years old. And this is the statue that we tried to create. The other one thing that came to mind was the Night King from Game of Thrones. Like, I was like, what did they do, dude? Why are all the statues bad? And I don't understand. This is one of the worst. Like the Dirk one, that one's like not bad. This one is complete garbage. And for it to be off the back of the Heat getting absolutely dusted in opening night on Pat Riley night is just chef's kiss, no notes.
This is up there. Have you seen the Cristiano Ronaldo one?
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
Some random city made a statue of him and he just looks nothing. Like, this is up there. Like, this is so bad. And he's, like, pointing at his dick, too, which is like, what? Why not do, like, the wings out, like when LeBron had that dunk and he was in front? But he's like, I know it's like, this is my house or whatever, but it looks pretty suggestive.
It's literally set in stone. So, like, there's no mistakes. You have the time. You're in some sort of back warehouse creating a statue that is literally set in stone. You should put in the requisite effort to make sure it doesn't look like shit. For, like, literally all of time until a meteor comes from the sky and blows up our planet. This thing is just going to be fucking sitting there making a mockery of Dwayne Wade's career. You'll love to see it.
I don't understand. I don't understand how it gets to this point. How does not a single person go like, we should probably sense check this with like a focus group, get like 30 random NBA Twitter people in a room and be like, thoughts? And this is getting memed into oblivion for literally, as Ben said, till a meteor takes us out. That's it now. They have to redo it.
Well,
they have to do that. They have to redo it.
It's like they carved it from memory. It's like, you do not have a picture of Dwayne Wade available to you in Miami? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, a blind guy took instructions via Braille and did his best.
Big chin, got it,
The Allen Iverson statue was just hilariously small. At least it was like an accurate depiction, albeit, tiny. But
ours are pretty good. Like the red one is awesome. The Bill Russell one is awesome. Yeah, of course. Like, we're a legitimate organization and not Pat Riley devil shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, Jake. Like, how is there not a board of trustees or someone there to vet this? I would imagine, to be consistent with Heat hangers on, they probably arrived 45 minutes late and didn't get their vote in.
Who's that?
Yeah.
Well, this is
Who is this guy?
indicative. This is from the top down, man. Pat Riley is washed. He probably gave himself, last approval on this thing, and he probably, he probably did it himself. He was like, you know what, I can sculpt. Let me get the old marble out and
sculpted these abs, baby. I can do
yeah.
this.
And everybody was like too scared to tell him, nah, Pat, that ain't it, big dog. And,
That ain't it. Words for the Heat franchise in general. That ain't it. All right, this was fun. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. Please hit that like button. Leave us a nice rating and review on Apple Podcasts. Do all those little things to put us in favor of the algorithm gods. We'll be back live here on YouTube tomorrow night for instant reactions right after the Bucks game, and then a little later for Celtics late night. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celts.